Hope everyone's doing well today. We have another Coins of the Month. These are coins I've purchased in the last month, the previous month, and I'm going to go through this video and talk a little bit about each one. First up, we have a Sistophorus of Emperor Augustus from the Roman Empire. The Sistophorus was the largest denomination of silver coin produced under the Romans. This one measures 27 millimeters in diameter, and it's about 3x the weight of a denarius. These were minted for use in the eastern city of Ephesus, and it features on the reverse side the temple of Artemis, who is the hunter goddess at Ephesus, and you can see two stags facing each other. Stags or deer being the symbolic animal of Artemis. Very cool coin, nice and hefty, has a nice feel to it in the hand. Next up, this is a denarius of Antony, Mark Antony, from the late Roman Republic. This one actually has a provenance dating back to the early 1800s, which is pretty rare in the world of ancient coin collecting. This coin came from the collection of a British vicar called Charles Edward Neville Rolfe. I may have missed one of his names. I think he had like 5 names. It was passed down within his family since the early 1800s until they consigned it to the auction house Baldwin's in 2010. And it's been sold a few times since then until I picked it up more recently. It's got some lovely cabinet toning, that kind of dark tone there. And definitely the oldest provenance I have currently in my collection, so pretty neat. And that is Sol, the god of the sun, on the obverse side. Here's another denarius of the Roman Republic. This is a fun one. It features Cupid, the god of love, desire, and attraction, riding a goat. You can see Cupid there, small little guy with wings. This was likely a reference to earlier Greek mythological themes of their own god of love, whose name was Eros, trying to steer or tame the wilder animal passions of lust, with the goat representing the lust. The goat could also potentially be a reference to Bacchus, the god of wine and revelry. The moneyer here, you can see part of his name is Fonteius, but pretty neat coin. These typically come in a larger flan size. I think this one is about 20 millimeters, 20.5 or so. Pretty neat. Next up, we have a Roman Empire denarius of Vespasian, featuring a sow female pig and 3 piglets. Though on this one, 2 of the piglets are barely visible and the third is a little bit off-center. This was a new coin design created under Vespasian. Some collectors theorize that it was intended as an insult to the Jewish people, who Vespasian had just defeated in a war, and for whom pig meat is not kosher. But it's more likely symbolic of the agricultural prosperity of the empire, as Vespasian had a few other coin designs touching on that. And you can see his portrait there with that notably thick and meaty neck. He was likely a bigger gentleman, as well as that laurel wreath. Here's a neat ancient Greek coin from Moesia, an ancient region in the Balkans just south of the Danube River. The city of Istros, or also known as Histria, was a city on the coast of the Black Sea near the mouth of the Danube within Moesia, where this coin was minted. The region was first settled in the 7th century BC and inhabited until the 7th century AD. It grew in population and power to a point where they were actually considered a growing threat to the late Roman Republic. And Julius Caesar himself planned an invasion in 44 BC. If you know anything about Roman history, you'll know that year 44 BC was not a great one for Julius Caesar. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to follow through with his plans, as he was stabbed 23 times that year. This is another coin, hemiobol of Moesia. The previous one was an obol. 2 hemiobols to an obol. But his successor and heir, Augustus, took up Julius Caesar's plans and sent Crassus's, another notable Roman figure, Crassus's grandson, to subjugate the region, which was later formally incorporated as a Roman province. Augustus denied Crassus all of the proper military honors for that subjugation, potentially seeing him as a rival. But he allowed him to live at least, which was nice for Augustus. Here's another ancient Greek one. This is of Chersonesos, an ancient city, a Greek colony located on the Crimean Peninsula, founded in the 5th century BC, and was originally a democracy, but fell under Roman control by the time of the 1st century BC. It features this very iconic roaring lion design. It's definitely a popular coin. There are probably a decent number of fakes of these, so you do have to be a little bit careful when buying them. A lot of, not necessarily cast fakes, but some pressed fakes, which can be trickier to spot. But this one is a beautiful coin, and you can see the artistry in the mane of the lion. And here we have an Antoninus from the Romans of Pupienus, and yes, that is how his name is pronounced. He was a short-lived emperor during the year of the Six Emperors, 238 AD. He was appointed co-emperor by the Senate. He was a senator, alongside Balbinus, another senator, after the deaths of Emperors Gordian I and II. He was capable and pretty respected, but was unpopular with the Praetorian Guard because they didn't get a say in his appointment. Tensions with his co-emperor and ultimately lack of support from the guard and the military led to his downfall, and both he, Pupienus, and Balbinus were murdered by the Praetorian Guard after only a few months in power, which cleared the way for the young Emperor Gordian III, who had reigned for 6 years. Here's a Denarius of Plautilla, wife and empress of Caracalla. She likely gave Caracalla no male son, no heir. She potentially gave him a daughter who is referenced potentially on the reverse side of this coin. You can see Venus, goddess of love, Venus Victrix, goddess of victory, rather, in this case, along with a small figure who could be a child. Her father was commander of the Praetorian Guard, and he eventually schemed to overthrow the Severan dynasty, and was executed. And Plautilla was exiled to a small island and executed following Septimius Severus's death. And here's a coin of Gordian III. We mentioned him a couple minutes ago. This features Diana Lucifera, goddess of the moon, or an aspect or version of the hunter goddess Diana, the Roman version of the Greek goddess Artemis. Diana Lucifera literally means Diana Lightbringer. Like I said, she's goddess of the moon, so she's responsible for bringing light through the darkness. Typically depicted holding a long torch. And as with many of Gordian III's coins, this is a particularly nicely struck one with some remaining mint luster, actually. Another denarius, this time of Emperor Antoninus Pius, one of the 5 good emperors. There are relatively few Roman coins that depict buildings or pieces of architecture that still exist today, and this is actually one of them. The reverse side, we'll see it in a second here, features the column of Antoninus Pius, which was built by Marcus Aurelius and Lucius Verus to honor him following his death in 161 AD. The column itself fell down or was destroyed over the years, but the base of it, which you can see on the coin there, actually still survives today and can be viewed if you visit the Vatican in a courtyard there. And the base is very intricately carved, and it features, I'll have a picture here in a second, features the emperor and his late wife, Faustina, being flown into the heavens as they ascend to godhood. Here's a Roman Republic denarius. This one is a beautiful coin. Don't have a ton to say about this. This is kind of the typical Roma head type, bit of a common type. You can see Roma, goddess / personification of the city of Rome, on the obverse side with that winged helmet. And then on our reverse side, we see a two-horse chariot, a biga, B-I-G-A. These types of chariots were typically used for chariot racing, like in the Circus Maximus in Rome, because they were very quick, as opposed to the quadriga, which was a four-horse chariot. Now this is a particularly nice example. It's slightly off-center on the reverse side, but it has some beautiful toning. And another denarius, this one from the Roman Republic. This one, instead of featuring Roma, actually features Minerva, the goddess of wisdom, the Greek equivalent being Athena. And remember that the Romans basically copy-pasted the Greek gods and goddesses to their own religion, but just renamed them. The reverse side features a biga as well. You can see that same two-horse chariot. These coins, the coins of Cervilleus, who is the moneyer here, often come in a larger flange size, around 20 to 21 millimeters. There's actually a fair amount of variance in terms of the size of denarii of the Roman Republic. Some are much smaller, some are much bigger. But I kind of prefer the bigger ones personally. Here's another ancient Greek coin from Ionia, a region on the western coast of Anatolia, or modern-day Turkey. And this comes from the city of, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but Clazomenae. The coin features two mythical creatures, a gorgon, you can see that on the obverse side, who is one of three mythical sisters with snakes for hair, and the ability to turn anyone who looked at them into stone. Medusa being the most famous of the three sisters, and the only mortal one who was, she was unfortunately killed. And on the reverse side, we can see a winged boar, who is also a mythological creature associated with Ionia, a beast that supposedly terrorized the city in ancient times. Not sure how a boar could do that much damage, but I guess if you put wings on it, it could be a little tricky to take care of. And then finally, here we have a tetradrachm of Vologases IV from the Parthian Empire. This was a $200 coin that actually ended up costing me over $3,000 thanks to tariffs. This shipment that this coin was on is a big shipment, a $33,000 shipment, and it was supposed to arrive just before Trump's tariffs were expected to start, but then FedEx started asking questions saying, hey, what's the manufacturer address for this coin? Where is the manufacturer located? And I had to explain to the FedEx that it's tough to figure out the manufacturer address for a 2,000-year-old coin. But anyway, that delayed it a few days, and by the time it actually got processed through customs, the tariffs were in place, so I got hit with a 10% tariff. So yeah, a little bit of a ding to the pocketbook, but still glad to have this coin. I'm not sure if I'm going to be selling it anytime soon. Thankfully, it seems like the tariffs have been halted temporarily for European imports, at least for now, so I haven't been hit with too many additional charges since then. Who knows what's going to happen, though? Nobody really knows at this point. But yeah, all that aside, hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to reach out with any comments or questions about any coin. I have had most of these listed on my eBay site. Some of them have sold already. There might be a few of them that are still available. But yeah, thanks for watching.